Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Poets and Quants' online MBA panel with the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill's Kenan-Flagler Business School. I'm your host, Christy Bleizepper with Poets and Quants. Please feel free to use the Q&A function to submit any questions you have for our panelists, and I'll do my best to get to them at the end of the session. I want to welcome our guest today and thank you very much for taking the time. Well, let's start with introductions. If each of you would tell us your name, title, and a little bit about yourself. And Matt, we'll go ahead and start with you.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Henty. I am the program director for the online MBA program called MBA UNC at the Kenan-Flagler Business School. So I kind of oversee the entire program for MBA at UNC and directly oversee the student engagement team that is kind of the voice and the face of the program for students while they're in the program. And been with Kenan-Flagler for about the last 5 years.
Thank you. And Lee.
Hi, nice to see everyone this afternoon. My name is Lee Schultz. So I am by day an executive director at Merck & Company, where I work in commercial operations. And I am a current student in the MBA at UNC program.
Very good. Thank you both again for joining us. Matt, why don't you just start by telling us a little bit more about the program, how long it's been around, how long it takes to complete generally, and what kind of level of flexibility is offered in the pacing, classes selection, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So MBA at UNC has been around for a little while. We actually launched the program in July of 2011. So we're coming up on 12 years now. So we've had thousands of students go through the program so far, and it's been a really successful way for students to help get their MBA. I think we found a really good format that we've got going with MBA UNC. We've based the program kind of around flexibility. It's built into the program because we pretty much know that working professionals are busy and life doesn't stop. Everybody has personal things going on, professional commitments that they need to attend to. So students can actually take up to 36 months to complete the program, or as little as 18 months. On average, students usually complete the program in about 24 months. So it's a nice way to kind of fit classes into your busy personal or professional lives. And we actually have built that flexibility so students can take a year off from the program if they need to. And if they need to, we've had students get married, we've had students take time off for work or to have children, so a lot of options there. And then the program does require some synchronous sessions. So we have weekly class sessions built into the program that students are required to attend. And this is actually a really nice way to meet up with other students in the class, meet up with your instructors, and then get to know each other a little bit, get your questions answered on the content. And then we build out a lot of different sections for each of these classes. So students can usually register for the section that works best for them. So for example, our core classes that every student has to take, we usually have multiple sections of the same class in the same quarter. So they can just find the one that works best for them.
Yeah, very good. And what would you say, Matt, is the key differentiator for the online MBA?
I would say for MBA at UNC, it's definitely a small class size. When you look at some of the other online MBA programs out there, you can be in class with a lot of other people. And some of your core classes, you can be in there with a lot of other people. MBA at UNC, we've really designed the synchronous classes to be small and more personable. So on average, those classes are no more than 18 students. So there's a pretty small class size, which means you have a lot of interaction with the other students in the class. You get to know them pretty well. You get to know the instructors pretty well. They are going to keep you honest. They might cold call you at some point, but it definitely helps the learning process because we want the students to engage with the instructors and engage with the content. And so we purposely designed our classes to be that size. And again, we've offered a lot of those different sections so that we can keep those sections small for students as they go through it. Not to say that we don't have some large classes, but we built those to when it matters most. So for example, we have a course called a summit course, and it's a 3-day executive development style networking course that we offer at the end of every quarter. It's a 1-credit course, and we usually take at least 100 students. We offer them in Chapel Hill and international locations around the world. So it's a great way for students to come in, meet each other in person after a quarter of taking classes, get to see each other and network and get some great contact from Kenan-Flagler faculty and from international faculty around the world. So definitely when you step into the program, you're part of that Tar Heel community from day one, and you really get to know those people in that intimate setting.
Yeah, very good. Lee, why don't you kind of tell us about what led you to an MBA and kind of talk us through your decision process and why you ultimately chose Kenan-Flagler.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would describe myself as a mid-career professional. So I came into the program with 20 years of work experience. And so I was looking honestly for a program where I could balance a pretty demanding job, leverage all of the context that I had from those 20 years of experience, right? I had 2 teenagers at home. I really needed a flexible program that could handle the demands of work and of life. And of course, I started during COVID, but that's not why I chose a virtual program, right? So, and the other thing is that I'm in a job where I travel a lot for work, and I couldn't be, at a traditional executive MBA program on nights or weekends in person all the time and handle that work travel.
Yeah.
So I really wanted a program that was flexible to my schedule. I loved with UNC that they had, so Matt framed it as, we do require the synchronous sessions. I see those as we get to have the synchronous sessions. I get to have, a really intimate opportunity to meet with my professor and other students on a regular basis. That was one of the things that really drew me to the program. I will tell you, I already have 1 degree from Carolina, so I'm already a Tar Heel, and that did make me look at UNC in my list. But the not only the virtual, but the diverse offerings in the program, I would say there's way more electives in the program than I could ever take in the 62 hours that they let us take. I would take more if I could. And the global offerings that the program has really, I think, stood out to me as I looked across different online opportunities.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that student experience. First off, do you have any kind of insider advice for how you were able to manage those teenagers, your career, and school?
Oh, goodness. I think it's just a balancing act, right? I do spend most of my weekends dealing with school. I'm lucky my teenagers are older, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's more of a shared experience with them. They're going through the same kind of late high school and college experience as I am. But you juggle, you flex back and forth. And I think it's helpful to have school almost as a boundary for work. You have to put down work to pick up school because you have commitments on both sides. And there are days where I put down one laptop and I pick up the other laptop and I go straight from one to the other. And we can get into this, but school also offers an entirely new social community that you pick up, right? Even in the online context, the relationships that you form are really strong, and that gives a nice balance to the pressure of the academic environment.
Yeah, do you find that you've been able to make relationships that you think will kind of last through?
100%. And I think when I told people that I was going to get an online MBA, people said, oh, no, I got a traditional MBA, and the network is the major thing that I got out of my MBA. You won't get that in an online program. And to all of those people, I say you're 100% wrong. I would say the network may be one of the best things that I've gotten out of the MBA. And the fact that we're all having this shared online experience makes that network even tighter. And as Matt mentioned, we do get the chance to meet in person, whether that's going to summits or we have the opportunity also to enroll in classes, whether they be weekend, evening, or a full-time MBA class, if we're able to do that, or to do some of the global programs that are in person. And so I've met a number of these people in person now.
Yeah, very good. Great. Matt, how would you say the online program replicates, as we were talking about, the networking, mentorship, career development opportunities that are kind of front and center to the traditional in-person MBA?
Yeah, I think that's a question a lot of students have coming into an online MBA. And what I mentioned earlier, students coming into this program, MBA UNC, are part of the Tar Heel community from day one. And when they come into the program, they are bringing a wealth of experience in networks that they already have. And that's one of the benefits about this program in particular, is that we have a very diverse student body who are already seasoned professionals. So when those students come in, they are bringing with them their network and their backgrounds and their leadership skills. And they work with each other in class all the time. They're working on group projects. They're communicating back and forth. And so the networking opportunities are definitely there. And it's just I think shifting the communication channel really is kind of what it amounts to. But these days, I talk to people down the hall who are on, Teams or Zoom or Slack or whatever it is. So our communication channels are shifting, and I think we're keeping up with that quite a bit. So there are opportunities to network for mentorship, career development. The MBA UNC program maintains a full-time career development team. And so we have career coaches that our students in the program have free unlimited access to. So while they're in the program, they can talk with a career coach about anything really, whether they want to start a new job search, or they just need a resume review, or they're not sure how to dress for an interview, or they really need to expand their network. So a lot of students utilize those services. And then once they're done and they become an alumni of the program, they still have free unlimited career coaching as well. So it's a really nice aspect of the program to kind of build that out. It's not really going to be the same as a full-time program, but that's purposeful. The flexibility of the program makes up for some of these things. With a lockstep program, you don't really got to attend class every day. You can't really, take time off from the program. So we like the mix of the flexibility and the opportunities that MBA at UNC provides.
Yeah, and can you talk a little bit about to what extent industry professionals and leaders are kind of interacting with the online students?
Sure. So our instructors in the MBA UNC program, we have Kenan-Flagler faculty that create our courses, but we also work with instructors who are active in the industry. So when students come into the program, those instructors are teaching their sections, and they can bring in real world examples about what's going on with them at work. They talk about what the students are doing at work and how those things interact. So they are interacting with those. Our global opportunities, we have a lot of opportunities for students to interact with those industry professionals as well. Our summit courses, we bring in speakers from a variety of different backgrounds, whether it's local nonprofits or multinational corporations, and we try to get students exposure to a lot of those different elements, so they have a well-rounded education.
Yeah, so I've heard about the global opportunities a couple of times. Just tell us a little bit more about those.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we have the summit courses. We do 2 of those in Chapel Hill every year, and we do 2 in international locations every year. So we change up those international locations all the time, so it doesn't become stagnant. And we try to make them exciting places, places where business is kind of sometimes emerging. Sometimes things have changed and it's worth a new look. And we're actually going to Cape Town, South Africa in a few months for our program. And then next year, we're going to be visiting Warsaw, Poland, and Buenos Aires, Argentina. So we try to mix it up a little bit. Our students also have access to what we call a Doing Business In program, which is really a short-term study abroad opportunities for while you're in the program. So students can go for a few days up to a week in a variety of different locations all around the world. And there's opportunities to interact with other MBA students from across the globe, to learn from local MBA faculty, have cultural events and visits. So there's quite a few opportunities while you're in the program, which is quite nice.
Yeah. Lee, did you say that you went on a global trip? Where did you go?
I have. So I've done a Doing Business in Tel Aviv, Israel, at Tel Aviv University. I spent almost 2 weeks there over New Year's, learning about the Israeli startup ecosystem. And then I'm lucky enough to be able to finish my program at the Cape Town Summit at the end of this year.
Exciting. Well, tell us what kind of impact so far you'd say the program has had on your kind of current role, and where do you hope that your career goes from here?
Yeah, so I actually moved into this commercial operations role from an R&D role just prior to starting the program. So for me, the program has completely kind of interwoven the things that I'm learning in school. I'll learn something at night in a sync session and bring that to my day job, and then I'll bring context from my day job right back into those class sessions and discussions with my peers. So for me, it's really a day-to-day complete synchronization of the things I'm learning in class and the things I'm doing at work. Yeah. I'm hoping after this particular role to get into more of a general management role. And I think having the exposure to the MBA curriculum will be, I think, a differentiator for me, that plus my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you did have to kind of narrow it down to, 2 or 3 highlights of your experience, what would those be? What are some of the most memorable things?
Yeah, so I already called out the global experience, right? I think that the Tel Aviv experience was really, honestly, life-changing. Met some great other Tar Heels and folks from other business schools because it was a mixed cohort there. I would say the diversity of offerings. There's a really solid core program with academic fundamentals, plus a diversity of electives. Sort of choose your own adventure in the elective space. I'm really enjoying that part. But what I would really call out is the people. Carolina has an amazing community that I would describe as academically rigorous and challenging, but supportive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's an unusual school, in my experience across different schools, where you really get pushed, but you get supported in the way that you're pushed. And from the professors to the synchronous session professors who are often, working a day job and practicing, to other students, it's been such an amazing community, and one that I will completely take forward and stay connected to after the program.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Matt, how do you see technology and kind of innovation changing the business landscape? And what implications does this have for kind of the development of the next generation of business leaders?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. I think this is something that we're constantly chasing as an online MBA program. The pandemic has changed the layout of the online MBA space. And probably in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll continue to see new changes come into play. A lot of new programs are out there, and students have probably more choice than they've ever had in the online MBA world. And that's great. It keeps things competitive. And what business student doesn't like a little competition? So we appreciate that. But for us, I think it comes down to a couple of things. We're going to continue to evolve the curriculum to meet the needs of business leaders and emerging markets. We want to make sure that we're staying up to date. It seems like the pace of global business just gets faster and faster every year. So we need to make sure that students are able to keep up with that. So that means making sure that we have new course content, which we constantly update and launch new courses. And make sure that it's relevant to the students and their interests and their needs as well. I think perhaps one of the biggest limitations of students' time is one of their limitations is time. So we're definitely working to develop a program where we can have maximum flexibility for our students so that they can really complete their core classes online, have the flexibility to take time off if they need to. As Lee mentioned, come to campus and complete an elective class, either through the full-time program, the evening program, the weekend program, network with those other individuals, take a global experience. Those flexibility features are going to be the hallmark of some of the best programs out there. I think that's what we're aiming to do. And hopefully the students realize that too. And, really combined with our small class size, it provides a really positive experience moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Alumni Network? How, I'm sure that's pretty large by now. How do they help each other?
Yeah, the great question. So as I mentioned, we've been around for a while, since 2011. So we have a couple thousand alumni from this program in particular at this point, which is great because Alumni Network are fantastic. I mean, you've got that shared experience. The Tar Heel community is fantastic. And so when students become an alum of the MBA UNC program, and they can join the Kenan-Flagler Business School and the Alumni Network there and tap into any of our alumni chapters, either in the US or across the world. Our advancement team also holds alumni programming for those alumni in different areas across the globe. So alumni have opportunities to meet and chat with each other. And then we also maintain alumni databases so that they can contact each other and reach out to each other. And that's actually really available to students currently in the program. They don't have to wait until they become an alum. They can start from day one when they start their first class, which is quite nice.
Yeah. Lee, have you had the chance to kind of interact with that network yet, or?
I have. I'm starting to get involved in the New York, because I'm up in the New York area Alumni Group. And we do have some very active, I'd say a mixture of alumni and current student groups that aren't even associated. There's an active kind of New York area WhatsApp chat, right, for folks who are associated with Kenan-Flagler. It's a very active community. And you sort of transition from the active community to the alumni community very seamlessly.
Yeah, very good. Matt, how do you see the Kenan-Flagler online MBA kind of evolving over the next 3 years, or 3 to 5 years, and maybe how about the online MBA degree generally kind of evolving as well?
Yeah, so with Kenan-Flagler, I mean, with an online MBA, we're constantly testing new technology. So we're in the process of that now to make sure that we're providing students with the best learning experience possible. Not all students learn the same, and they shouldn't have to. So we need to make sure that we're providing content to them in a variety of different options. For busy working professional students, that means being able to access it anytime you can get online. So a lot of these days, people traveling, you're in the airport, you're at a hotel, being able to access your content, whether it's asynchronous videos that you're prepping beforehand or logging into class. That flexibility is going to be essential. And so we constantly review technology for the program, and we're trying to adapt new technologies for the program kind of moving forward. That online MBA space, as I mentioned, it's going to get competitive, and that's great. So I think we'll see some changes with how content is presented, the flexibility of content. We might see some new degree offerings in different areas. Data analytics has become very popular. So we'll kind of look at the MBA space, and I think there's always going to be a positive experience for a good general MBA degree, especially as so many people transition to new sectors within their careers, and people don't work for the same company for a long time anymore. So having that flexibility within their curriculum in their MBA allows them to kind of hop and find jobs that are, work the best for them. So
yeah,
so interesting developments for sure.
Yeah. Lee, for viewers of these and the other webinars we do with other schools considering an online MBA or maybe shopping for programs, do you have any advice on what are some of the things that were essential for you that they should look for?
I think asking questions around things like how big do you have synchronous classes, if those are important to you as a student. Maybe you want an entirely asynchronous program, but ask about what those gatherings look like. Ask about the size. Ask to talk to a current student, right? And get that student one-on-one and find out if that student's experience matches your expectations for what an experience should be for an MBA. I think everybody walks in with a different idea of what a program should be for them. And you want to find a space where you can ask those one-on-one questions and not just read what's on the website to compare.
Right, 100%. Well, finally, Matt, why don't you kind of just give us a brief overview of the admissions and what it takes to get into the program at Kenan-Flagler, and just share how the best way for schools to kind of make first contact.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the MBA UNC program, we actually have rolling admissions. So we have 4 starts per year. Students can start the program in January, April, July, or October every year. So a lot of different options there to kind of meet your needs. One of the first things that you can do is go to our website. We have a lot of information listed there. If you put in your contact information, you will be contacted within 48 hours by one of our admissions counselors, and they'll get back to you, and they're kind of the first point of contact. You can ask any questions about the program that you might have. They'll get some basic information from you. If you want to start an application, they can assist you through that and guide you all the way through the process, which is quite nice. And they'll work with you to get everything together, all of your documents, recommendations, all sorts of stuff. So they're really kind of there to guide you along the way. And then if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us because we're happy to chat.
Very good. Well, thank you, Grace, both so much for your time and your great insights, and as always, very valuable information. For all the school seekers out there, thanks for watching, and please check out some of our webinars from other programs you might be considering. You'll find those on our YouTube page. And as always, thanks for Poets and Quants for tuning in, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.